This is Talk About Topeka on Gab Local TV and TV 25. This episode brought to you by Field of Greens and The Break Room. And here's your host, Chris Schultz.
Well, folks, something, as I'm sure you are all well aware of, happened in Orlando that was absolutely horrific. We're talking, of course, about the nightclub shooting at Pulse Nightclub, the gay and lesbian bar that was gunned down. 50 people lost their lives, 53 others were injured. Just absolutely horrific numbers. And we have a small spot in our heart, actually a big spot in our heart for this, because here in Topeka, we used to run a nightclub that catered to many LGBT folks. It catered to everyone. We billed it as Topeka's premier night spot for the open-minded. It was in College Hill, and it was called Club Cosmos, and Frank was the primary operator of that place, and I was the DJ that worked there. And we met so many people that used that place as a sanctuary because there was really no other place for them to go. So yeah, it was a bar, yeah, it was a dance club, but it really was a place where we had questioning youth come to the facility, and they found others that were like them, and they found that camaraderie there. It really was a sanctuary for them.
Well,
yep.
Chris, even the location of that bar necessarily wasn't the best neighborhood.
Yeah.
And people that came in, they actually felt safe. They felt like they didn't have to worry about someone coming in and shooting everyone, because they knew everyone. It was a family.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I want to show you a video that we put together back in 2012 that addressed Topeka. We actually called it Kansas Not As Bigoted As You Think, because it kind of took a different perspective of a lifelong Kansan, Topekan here, and looked at some of the issues that we've had in the LGBT community. And we've trying to said that we're a spot that actually pushes rights forward here in Kansas, and we have a history of that. So we want to give you a little taste of that, and then after that we'll take a quick break, and when we come back we're going to take you to the candlelight vigil here in Topeka that was held on Gage that was for the victims of the Orlando shooting. So enjoy this clip. Actually, I don't know if you can enjoy it or not, but I hope you can take something for that perspective and then enjoy our coverage from the candlelight vigil. Hi, I'm Chris Schultz, coming to you from Topeka, Kansas. When I was a kid and people used to find out where I was from, they always used to ask me how Dorothy was doing. The Wizard of Oz left us with a bright and colorful legacy that somewhat introduced us to the world. In recent years, people ask me about this guy. He seemed to have turned Dorothy's colorful legacy into these colorful signs. Yes, this guy and his family call Topeka their home too. Well, I don't agree with one single word that their church has ever preached, and I find that their methods are absolutely repulsive. And I have the utmost respect for those who have been their targets. But on a much bigger scale, I'd like to thank them for forcing conversations and opening minds all across the country. In their quest for hate, they have proven that no rational person wants to think like them. They have proven that love will always conquer the human spirit before hate has a chance. They have proven that the things our soldiers fight for are still very functional and well protected. Their efforts have cut at least a decade off of the modern fight for equality for all the citizens of our country. But for Topeka, the way we're described to the rest of the world certainly doesn't end there. As a matter of fact, the newest evolution of world discussion for our community comes full circle to this place, the Brown versus Board of Education historic site. A story that began in 1951 with a class action suit against the Topeka Board of Education, who were taking race into consideration when populating their schools. The case made it to the U.S. Supreme Court, where it was found that separate but equal was unconstitutional. When you watch The Wizard of Oz today, it's hard to believe that racism and segregation were totally legal when it was filmed. It's a part of our history that none of us want to remember, but we can never forget. It's a battle that has already been fought and shouldn't ever need to be dragged up and politicized again, though it has been for years. In 2004, President Bush came to Topeka to cut the ribbon on this important facility that reaffirms a very important message every day. No matter what you think about politics, Human rights are not a partisan issue. As a guy who grew up having to look at these signs, as a guy who grew up around close friends who committed suicide because their parents couldn't accept that they were gay, I have to say thank you to President Obama for standing up for equality. If our previous presidents would have spoken about equality for all, or even had the guts to say the word gay without having to uncomfortably shrug just a bit, then perhaps my friends might have had enough backup to realize that their parents were on the wrong side of history. Judy gave Technicolor hope to an entire community. The Brown family and many others didn't accept that separate was equal. And Fred opened our minds and made us talk when so many were content not to ask or tell. Some people say, "What's the matter with Kansas?" But as a lifelong Topekan, I'm proud that we've been a community that could help bring up so many conversations about equality. Should gay marriage be legalized? Who cares? We all have to pay our taxes. Shouldn't everyone get the same benefits? The United States of America is composed of people with many faiths and ethnicities. Our diversity is what makes our nation strong and sets us apart. It's one of the reasons I'm proud that I didn't jump ship and run away from my hometown because others felt like it was a breeding ground for bigotry. It's a fight that I am proud to stand on the front lines of. No matter who your God is, God bless America. From the trenches somewhere over the rainbow, I'm Chris Schultz. As history has proven, if you appreciate equal rights, Kansas says you're welcome.